Hello and welcome to Express Sports Podcast. You're listening to Pod of the Rings, where Amit, Vinayak, and I will take you inside India's preparations for the Paris Olympics, starting in little more than 10 days or 12 days now. Last week, in the first part of our 3-part preview, we looked at sports where India will try to go faster, where the speed will define where they finish on the podium. This week, we look at the sports that can take India's medals tally and India on the medals table higher. Vinayak, Amit, shooting is the first sport that comes to my mind. A sport that's fired blanks in 2016 and then in Tokyo 3 years ago. If India has to finish with more than 7 medals that they won at Tokyo, which was also the highest ever, it's no-brainer that shooting with highest ever contingent of 21 athletes will have to get among the medals. Amit, if you want to go first.
Yeah, Mir, I think this is a similar narrative that we saw last time around also, where last time also we had the same, the story arc that we are sending the largest ever shooting contingent to Tokyo. And that largest ever shooting contingent came back with basically everybody pointing their guns at everybody else. Just to give a little bit of context about how the drama unfolded, we were watching, I think, the 10-meter air rifle event of the women's category. And by the time it became apparent that nobody's going to win a medal for shooting in India, the journalist launched a hunt party for the NRAI president back then.
Match ka mujrim.
Match ka mujrim. We found him, wo bichare kahin pe hospitality tent mein humko mile. We brought him out. We asked him to answer questions where he very nicely pointed fingers at one coach of one shooter. Now that one shooter and that one coach are together again. So, I mean, that just tells you a little bit about how shooting or Indian sport works. Nothing is final. Everything is, I don't know. I don't want to say vicious circle, but yes, काफी circle में जाता है ये चीज.
Yeah, true. And Tokyo was bizarre in so many senses, right? I mean, I don't think हमने ज़्यादा trips लगाए थे, Amit, at the shooting range over there. But whenever we did go there, it ended in a big disappointment. And in this time, I think everyone who will be planning to kind of go for the shooting events, it will be a huge leap of faith because shooting itself is being held in a city that's roughly 300 kilometers away from Paris. And if you go there, you're missing out on everything else that's happening in the main city over there.
Mir, actually, that reminds me, I missed Mirabai Chanu's silver medal because I took a leap of faith thinking that Saurabh Chaudhary ऐसा फॉर्म में लग रहा है कि वो तो गोल्ड जीतेगा यानी ये topped qualification and went on to finish 7th only. So yeah, leap of faith is right, but then I think best hopes and the falsest dawns हमको shooting में ही मिलते हैं, I guess.
What a line. Vinayak, on cue, we've spoken about the false dawns, but the hopes this time seem to be many. Are you optimistic that the duck will be broken after, I hope there won't be a hat-trick of ducks from shooting this time.
Yeah, I was going to mention the hat-trick. I hope you avoid a hat-trick of 0 medals from shooting. Optimistic, I don't know, especially given how we've been burnt the last 2 times. It's a little difficult to be optimistic, but I think the way we've selected the squad, probably more rigorous this time around, and I think it feels like they are more prepared to handle the pressure of the Olympic Games. The whole trial system, I think, should ideally prepare them for the pressures of what they're going to face at the Games. You were there at the trials. Did you think, the sort of pressure situation was simulated, right? It's kind of like who makes the cut to Paris itself was such a big deal this time around. So I think fair to say that it kind of prepares them trial by fire, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely. I think, the trials this time were quite something. And so basically to give an overview, whatever the shooters have done over the last 3-year cycle, it eventually came down to these 4 rounds of matches, 2 in Delhi, 2 in Bhopal. We don't understand why it was split over cities, but that's how it was. And the best 3 scores that the shooters would shoot would be taken into consideration, and the 2 best in each category would then, make it to the team for the Paris Olympics. And seriously, the level of shooting there was incredible, and you could also feel the pressure. So during the trials, just the kind of stress everyone was, shooters, their coaches, their parents, no one was willing to even glance somewhere else, or once their event would get over, they would just like walk straight out of the hall and back to their hotel and prepare again. It was only after the fourth trial was over that the shooters were willing to kind of open up. And in one voice, they said that, competing at the trials was tougher than Olympics, is what Ilavanil said. Arjun Babuta, another rifle shooter, he said that, if someone's in top 3 in India, then that shooter is also among the best in the world. That's the kind of quality we are looking at. The pressure, again, he said at the trials was much higher than the Olympics. Same was said by Ramita as well, another rifle shooter. So the shooters literally felt that pressure, and in that pressure, I think it was incredible that the kind of scores they shot. I mean, just to kind of give you guys an example, on May 5 is when this Chinese shooter Jian Yuhan scored world record score in the 10-meter air rifle category. 636.3 was her tally out of maximum 654 that you kind of get. I mean, it looked impossible to better that score. But, less than 2 weeks later, Ramita Jindal, 20 years, she was, I think, 3rd or 4th before that trial round began. And under incredible pressure, she shot a score that was better than the world record. Now, it's not officially a world record because these weren't official matches, but she shot 636.4 in that level of pressure. So it kind of, highlighted the quality and the ability to deliver under pressure. Now, whether, like Amit said, it gives us hope. Now, whether that translates to a medal in Paris, I don't know whether we'll know that or when we'll know that. Amit?
Mir, as someone who's going to Paris, who are you most looking forward to watching shoot? Or who are you most expecting to win a medal this time around?
That's a tough one, yeah. I mean, I'm really wary of answering this question, but I'll be optimistic of India's chances in the pistol events this time, I think.
Oh, surprising. I thought rifle would be... You would fancy rifle, I thought.
No, I mean, I'm going by, the Asian Games, for example. So good, decent level of competition there. You're taking on Chinese shooters in China, and the others in Asia aren't too bad either in 25-meter pistol, for example. So there you had a really good outing. You have Isha Singh, Manu Bakar has 3 starts. That increases her probability of winning a medal, and then you hope she'll deliver on that. So 25-meter pistol is something that I'll be or pistol general is something that I'll be looking forward to. In 50-meter 3P rifle, I think Sift Kaur Samra has been a revelation since in the last year and a half. So hedging my bets on her. But to be honest, it all comes down to that first day, right? The mixed team event, the air rifle mixed team on 27th of July. Because if India get a medal there, then that kind of gets the momentum going. And if it doesn't, who knows? I mean, it could just spiral out of control. I think that first day will be very decisive.
Yeah, I think last time also the big disappointment, I think, was the mixed events, right? I remember distinctly that mixed was anyone who was doing medal predictions had mixed as nailed down because you have 2 good shooters and, most of India's top 2 were really good in both rifle and pistol. I think the last time, individual events, you can go either way, but the format for the mixed event was such that at least, semis to pahunch jayenge and then bronze aa jayega. Was, I think last time was a big letdown, I think mixed, which I think kind of played a part in the other events as well. And I think, like you said, qualification is going to be, I think, a big deal, right? I hope they're better prepared this time around because I think last time was one finalist? Saurabh was the only finalist in their contingent. I think that was a big disappointment too last time, right?
Yeah. Mir, there's also this very dubious record that I was just checking out. You look at 10-meter air pistol events, right? Just the men's category. In 2016, we had Jeetu Rai and Gurpreet Singh going. They never competed at an Olympics again. 2020, you have Saurabh Chaudhary and Abhishek Verma going, never competing at an Olympics again. Now you have Sarabjot Singh and Arjun Singh Cheema going. You have any hopes from them?
No, I think it's a trend that is kind of worrying. I mean, we don't understand exactly why the last 2 cycles, especially in 10-meter pistol, have led to, there are theories, of course. One of them being that just the deep knowledge of the sport, where once you're not able to kind of identify the flaw, your rise is so meteoric with a simple technique that when you kind of fall, you actually don't know where you went wrong and you're not able to kind of identify and fix the problem. That's one of the reasons that was given for, say, Saurabh Chaudhary, for example, apart from the various other things. And there is, of course, nothing to suggest ki is baar shayad medals nahi aayenge. Sarabjot especially has been in good nick, shot decently well at the trials too. I mean, it's just a question of how you stack up against the rest of the world. On paper, Indians do kind of match up, but that they've been doing in 2016 and 2020 as well. So it just, I think, comes down to how they handle this pressure, I guess. How you saw Tokyo and...
Yeah, in fact, if you remember, once I think we had caught Saurabh at Tokyo and we had asked him, you are a teenager competing at his first Olympics. Do you feel any pressure? I mean, the stage of the Olympics is supposed to be something that makes your legs shiver and all that. So Saurabh Chaudhary was very nonchalant. He said, नहीं क्या pressure, gun वही है, shooter वही है, distance वही है, target वही है, सिर्फ खड़े रह के shoot करना है. And when it mattered, तो तभी तो नहीं कर पाए. So I mean, clearly it's not something that I think earlier also you had mentioned that all of these shooters are saying that they've had this trial by fire, baptism by fire in a sense to get selected in the Indian team. But if these guys are thinking that just because they've beaten Rudraksh Patil to make it to the side, they are definitely going to win a medal, I think वो थोड़ा सा वो false hope ही रहेगा.
Vinayak, do you want to end the shooting part on a more optimistic note?
You're the team optimist here. No, but I think bigger contingent this time, better prepared. I think there was a little bit of drama on who goes to the World Cup after the squad was selected and all that. I hope that didn't derail what they had been preparing for. Not optimistic note, but if we don't win a medal this time in shooting, I don't know what it would take to get back on tally on the medal table with shooting. Because, I mean, everything points to a good showing. The Asian Games was, disregarding all the team events, I think most of the events they shot really well. I think Sif, like you said, is probably deserves a mention because I think she shot a record score as well at Asian Games also last time I remember. Quite a few impressive performances in the main events, right? So yeah, those point to a better showing this time. But like you said at the start, our fingers have been burnt before from the triggers of the shooters. So let's see how they fare this time. But yeah, I'd be really surprised if we don't win at least maybe 2 medals from shooting.
You have put a number there, so I have to ask Amit if he wants to put a number.
I don't know, man, because I sounded like such a negative Nelly the whole episode. I'm going to say 2-3 तो आ जाएंगे. क्या सेम ही तो है, मतलब गन सेम है, शूटर्स सेम है, टारगेट सेम है, खड़े रह के सिर्फ शूट करना है, तो 2-3 मेडल्स तो आ जाएंगे.
Amit channeling his inner Saurabh.
So the negative Nelly, they are kind of also hoping that, India will kind of return with medals in shooting, and not just shooting actually, guys, because if India has to go beyond the 7 medals at Tokyo and touch that double-digit mark, which everyone's kind of going crazy about, and I'm not going to mock it this time, क्योंकि पिछली बार जब वो 100 पार वाला नारा आया था, we laughed about it and properly embarrassed back then. So I'm not going to kind of say a word about the double-digit predictions or double-digit hopes that are being built.
Is that why you stopped being a negative Nelly and being full positive about medal predictions and all that?
No, to be honest, especially with shooting, having seen those trials, I think really changed my mind. I mean, that was proper pressure scene here. People were waking up at 3 in the night and walking in the corridors of their hotels and coming up to the shooting range next morning and having world record level scores. So really high quality there. Olympics may replicate kar paate ki nahi is the question. But the other sport which will be very essential, I feel, if India has to touch that double-digit mark, will be table tennis. Now, India has not won a table tennis medal at the Olympics, and winning a table tennis medal at the Olympics is I think climbing the Everest or even tougher because of just the kind of competition there's there. But
Mir, sorry, this is my last interruption. I know I've interrupted you way too many times. But it's like climbing the Everest from the Chinese side.
There you have it. That's a great interruption to have, by the way. But exactly right. I mean, you have the Chinese. तो एक तरह से आप fight कर रहे हैं silver और bronze के लिए. If it's not too demeaning, it's just being realistic in a way. And then you have paddlers who are in kind of good touch, especially on the women's side. Vinayak, Manika and Shrija Akula both individually have had remarkable wins of late heading into the Olympics. They've beaten Chinese world number 1, number 2. That should give them a lot of confidence. But then you also expect that the Chinese at the Olympics will raise their games multiple levels. And whether then Indians have the capacity to match that. How do you reckon are India's chances in TT?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's going to be I mean, first thing first, I think we have to appreciate the fact that we are sending two teams to the Olympics. I think that in itself, I think is a significant milestone, given that we've both the teams who have qualified based on their rankings. So that's a good thing. I am skeptical about medal chances in any of the individual events. If you're going to run into a Japanese or a Chinese player before semis, it's kind of, it's going to be difficult. But Manika has shown that she can beat higher ranked players. Shrija too has had a good run. I think the better bet would be the team event, given that, Manika can lead. It's a good team. I think Aika and Sutita not being there is a little bit of a surprise in terms of the squad selection, but they went with the rankings. And when you have Shrija and Manika in the, within the top bracket now in the world ranking, so they had to pick Archana as the third player to kind of strengthen the doubles chances. So I would have liked to see one of the Mukherjees, Aika especially. And I think if that was the case, probably we had a better balance. But our teammate Anil Diaz, who covers TT more regularly, he's of the opinion that they did the right thing by going to Archana as a third member. So let's see how they do. But Shrija and Manika will have to do the bulk of the work if India do have a chance of winning a medal. One thing that we need to mention about TT is also the return of Massimo Costantini, the Italian, I think, who oversaw probably India's best year in 2018 when we had a really good run. I think he was a key part of that. He's back to lead the team, to coach the team. So that is, I think, is a good sign. They're the players I know for a fact. They all love working with Massimo. Coach Max is someone who they look up to. I think it's his third stint, if I'm not wrong. But anyway, he's back and these guys do work well with him. And hopefully that kind of helps them towards that podium finish, which would be, utterly remarkable if that happens, given where we are in the world TT standings. So, But like you said, if we have to imagine India climbing higher on the podium, on the medal tally, then TT could probably spring a surprise.
Amit, you've kind of seen these players kind of grow, right, into what their version of today is. At Asian Games 2 last year.
How old do you think I am?
Do you want to really get into your age on this episode?
You just asked me, you've seen these guys grow. Yaar, ye log sab late 20s mein. Main kitna budha hai?
Grow into the versions of what they are today. Like, I'm not saying बचपन से लेकर अब तक. Although, like, it would be have been crazy अगर जो तूने बचपन से लेकर अब तक किया रहता. That would have been incredible insight. Unfortunately, I think हमारे priorities life में अलग थे जब हम छोटे थे.
Especially given Sharath is in the team.
That's true, actually, yeah.
Sharath is older than all of us.
Yeah, but he was one of the first Olympic sports names that I actually kind of, was fascinated by because of his Commonwealth Games gold medal. I think gold medal or what? I don't remember exactly. 2006 medal.
Yeah, Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne. And that really got me interested in TT, although, of course, like, TT is something that we all have dabbled with, but at that level. So, I think Sharad has been a constant in our lives. But what I meant, Amit, is basically that Shrija and Manika, from what they were 6 years ago, 8 years ago, to what they are today now, that's a massive change. And the negative Nelly in you, I don't know what it feels about the chances of TT. Tough as they are, but do you think kuch ho sakta hai?
I don't know, yaar. Last time also, I think I was sold this hope before going to Tokyo that, this is the first time that they are introducing mixed events. So having Satyan and Manika together would be a definite sure shot medal because I think only 8 pairs were playing or 16 pairs, ऐसे ही कुछ था. So 2 wins takes you into the semi-finals or something like that. ऐसा कुछ very hunky-dory picture paint किया गया था. And then we obviously know what happened. Satyan is not even in the team right now. I'm sure he will keep on fighting and maybe next Olympics he will make it. But then I'm just saying that I don't know, man. Thoda sa, I'm also a little uncertain about table tennis ka chances.
The preparations are insanely good. I was just kind of looking into how they've been kind of going about their preparations for the Paris Olympics. And Manika got this table that they'll be using at Paris Olympics. She got it at a training place. She's been doing at that. Shrija went to Chinese Taipei and spent a considerable time. It's incredible that, one of the things she mentioned to Anil, our colleague, was that just by sparring with 16, 17-year-olds or girls from Taiwan was so much better and the quality was such higher compared to what you get in India, the sparring quality. So she's been kind of spending a lot of time there. It was funny because Sharath, among a lot of things that he's done, he also went through a range of tests, from blood tests to gene tests and, bone density and everything. So I don't know if it's to do with age or it's to do with his reflexes and whatever. But they've been literally putting their bodies through a lot of things to be ready for these games. And what a way it would be to kind of, if whoever wins a medal, but someone like a Sharath or a Manika to kind of cap off their careers. So Manika, I'm sure, will go on and play one more Olympics at least. But for Sharath, who's also India's flag bearer in the opening ceremony, that would be quite something if he kind of is in the TT team that is among the medals or closer to the medals at least.
Just to add there, like even if Sharath himself personally doesn't win a medal, if India do end up winning a medal in Paris in table tennis, I think it will be fitting that he's still around, given the kind of things that he's gone through all these decades, almost single-handedly keeping table tennis afloat in the international major events. And then now he has a proper team. That I think he's also mentioned this in the past, like for him to be a part of a team that qualifies for Paris, I think that is quite special. And he's not the only guy anymore. I mean, there was Satyen for a while. Of course, Satyen is not in the team now, but Manika has come along, Shrija has come along. It's a very exciting men's team. A couple of players who are not even going to Paris. It's kind of an exciting time for Indian table tennis, and it'd be really fitting if Sharath gets to see that cap off, like you said, at Paris. That'd be a wonderful little story arc.
Absolutely. And I think, I think these two sports will be extremely essential if India want to kind of finish higher on the Olympic medals table. That's, I guess, that for today. Next week, we will be talking about the athletes who are getting stronger, athletes who are kind of, adding muscles, adding brains. So I don't know how you add brains, but getting brainier, I think would be better. Amit, I'm sure, is kind of ready to have a go at me for saying that. But basically, next week we'll be looking at the athletes who are leaving nothing to chance when it comes to becoming stronger, so that when they compete in Paris, they'll have a better chance of finishing with a medal around their neck. So be sure to join us next week. Thanks for listening to us. We'll be back next Sunday.
You were listening to Express Sports by the Indian Express. This week's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.